Hi, this instructional video is about writing the standard form when you're given a focus. And the parabola's vertex is assumed to go through the origin at 0 and 0. It is a supplementary to the instructional video that introduced how to graph or how to find the focus and the directrix. So in this case, we have a coordinate given, -2 and 0. And we're trying to find the standard form, right? The standard form. And remember, the standard form, we define it as, if it's in a function of x, we say x squared is equal to 4py. And since it's a function of x, the parabola in this case should open up or down, depending on the coefficient, leading coefficient. And if it's a function of y, y squared is equal to 4px. And this is the one, depending on, again, the leading coefficient, is going to open left or right. Okay, so in this case, we have a coordinate given for the focus at -2 and 0. So let's just plot that, and to give us an idea, it is exactly what we're trying to look for. This is the focus now. So the coordinate is -2 and 0, -1, -2, and 0. So if that's the focus, then the parabola, we have to make it correspond to the focus. It should open to the left. And if it's opening to the left, we're looking for the function of y. And so we're trying to make it into y squared equals 4px. And remember, the -2 is the p. And all we have to do to write the standard form or the equation for this graph is to take that p -2 and substitute it right there. And evaluate. So we get y squared is equal to 4 times -2 times dx. And so your standard form equation should be y squared is equal to -8x. And that becomes the equation for that function right there. Or for this graph right there. Now in the previous examples or instructional videos, we were given an equation and we were supposed to find the focus and the directrix. Well, let me quickly demonstrate that for you here to prove that it's the inverse of what we're doing here. So, since it's given to you as y squared is equal to -8x, we have to substitute it in to the standard form, y squared equals 4px. And since y squared is -8x, that's what we put -8x over here. And we solve for the p to find the focus. To do that, we had to divide the 4x to both sides of the equation. So that the p, because the x 4 cancels out, and the x cancels out, the 4 reduces -8, -2 times, and that's how we found the focus, which was right here. Now you see, it's the backwards. So, why don't you try number 2 and 3 to give me the standard form that looks something like this, or something like that in a function of x. Okay, so one way to get a good idea, make sure you don't go the wrong way, is to actually plot this on a graph. And in this case, it's 0 and -3. 1, 2, 3. 0 and -3. So if that's the focus, then the parabola should open downward to match it. And the directrix will be up here on the opposite side of the exact focus at y is equal to 3. Now how do we write the standard form? Well, this time you want to write x squared is equal to 4py. And again, this is the p. And we put it in there. So we got x squared is equal to 4 times -3 times the y. So x squared is equal to simply -12y. What do we do with that? Well, we're going to stick it back into, well, actually, no, we're done. That is the standard form. I'm sorry. I didn't want to go further ahead and try to find the focus again because it's already here. And how about this one? Yeah, here we go. So don't fret about the fact that the coordinate is given as a quotient. Here it is. X is 512. Boom, there it is. That's 512. 512 and 0. That's the focus. And then you draw the parabola to match it. Again, this is going to be in a function of y because it's opening to the right. Okay, so we're using y squared equals 4px. All you have to do is take that p and substitute it in here. Now this is going to look kind of funky, but I think you could do it. So evaluate, you get y squared is equal to, let's reduce this. 4 reduces the denominator 12 3 times. So it's 5/3 x. That's all there is to it. All right? Go knock him dead. Okay. Now this part is about writing the standard form again, but instead of being given a focus, this time we're given a directrix. It's the same thing, however. Okay? So let's get a picture of what this is supposed to look like. First of all, the directrix is going through the y. So if I were to graph it, on the y-axis, here's the -1. And here's the directrix. Well, if that's a directrix, then the focus, as we defined in the beginning of the segment, is on the exact opposite equidistance over here. And that's going to be the focus. So if the directrix is -1, then the focus will be 0 and +1. And the parabola, to make it correspond to it, should open up upward. So the distance from the focus to the parabola, and from that parabola to the directrix, should be equal. So how do you write the equation for that? Well, it's a function of x, so we're going to use y, almost goofed here, is x squared is equal to 4py. That's the standard form we want to use. And since the p, that's the one we want to use, okay? So what we have end up getting is x squared is equal to 4 times 1 times the y. So the standard form is x squared equals 4y. There it is. And then the second one and the third one. Here we go. Once again, I recommend you graph it. Plot the information that's given to you to give you the picture. And that will make sure that you use the right standard form. In this case, x, the directrix now, is at 3/4. So, boom, there's 3/4. Okay? So that means we have a vertical line. So the x is at 3/4. That means the vertex is exactly on the opposite side, equidistance. There's going to be the vertex. And the coordinate for that? The x is -3/4 and y is 0. And the parabola going through the origin should open up to the left like this. And this time it's going to be the function of y. So we want to use y squared equals 4px. And what do we put in the p? Do we put that in there? No, we want to put in the coordinate from the vertex. From the focus, which is -3/4. Okay, be careful with that. So -3/4 goes in here, not the 3/4 given the directrix. So when you evaluate, y squared equals 4 times -3/4 times dx. 4's cancel out. So the standard form is y squared is equal to -3x. I hope you're seeing a pattern here now. And finally, number 3. If I were to plot that or draw that directrix, y is at -1/2. Boom, there's -1/2. I'm not too concerned about the scale, but there it is. Y is equal to -1/2. That means the focus is exactly the opposite side, right there. And the coordinate given for that should be 0 and +1/2. They're always the opposite. So the parabola opens upward this time. It's a function of x. So we have to say x squared equals 4py. And what do we put in this p? Is the 1/2 p right there. So we go x squared equals 4 times 1/2 times y. What's half of 4 is 2. And there it is.